Hello, Chillify team. I'm ready to craft some unforgettable stories for you. My cousin Anna made a living by exploiting marriage for bride prices. Each time, her married life lasted only about half a year. As soon as the legal period to reclaim the bride price passed, she'd divorce and seek another family to continue her game. Knowing this, I constantly tried to reason with her. It was immoral, I told her. If she ever crossed the wrong person, her life would be over. Anna seemed to heed my words, no longer wanting to pursue the fraudulent bride price scheme. But then, late one night, my cousin Thomas came to my door, a knife in his hand. "My sister scammed a bride price to buy a house for me. What's that to you?" he snarled. "Are you determined to tear us apart? You told my sister that blindly helping a younger brother won't end well. If she scams another bride price, you'll call the police on us. Why are you so nosy? Come out now. If I can't live in peace, neither will you." I immediately called the police. After the squad car took Thomas away, my hands trembling, I checked the security camera footage. I found Anna hiding in the hallway, secretly watching the entire scene unfold as Thomas came after me with a knife. It turned out she didn't want to continue the bride price scam, but was too afraid to confront it head-on, so she dragged me into it as a scapegoat. She hoped Thomas would attack me, giving her an excuse to get rid of the nagging younger brother. Well then, I had to repay her kindness, very carefully. Anna was preparing for another engagement on National Day. This was her 8th time walking down the aisle to an engagement ceremony. Everyone in the family knew, but no one dared to speak up. Each time she married, she'd stay for about half a year before finding a way to divorce, then move on to the next target, marry again, and then separate. An endless loop. Each bride price was kept by Aunt May and given to Thomas to buy a house. This time, when I came home for the holiday, Anna approached me, seeking a conversation. "Emily, does everyone make fun of me behind my back, marrying over and over only to end in divorce?" I thought for a moment before replying. "Anna, what you're doing is not only unethical but also potentially illegal. People save for so long to afford a wife and you're deceiving them. What if one day they're pushed to their limit? Anything could happen." Anna squeezed my hand, nodding repeatedly. "You're right. I'll cancel tomorrow's engagement. I can't keep lying like this." Sure enough, that afternoon, Aunt May called to say the engagement had been canceled. But I didn't expect that same evening, Thomas would come to my door with a knife intent on attacking me, while Anna secretly watched from behind. What a pair of siblings. One milking her own sister, the other turning a blind eye. Now, wanting to cut loose their parasitic brother, they planned to use me, so I had to return the favor appropriately. That National Day holiday was truly enjoyable. I traveled leisurely, while Thomas embarked on a long stay in a detention center. During that time, using the excuse of checking in, I subtly brought up Anna's name multiple times to Aunt May. "Auntie, Thomas came to my apartment building with a knife that day." Luckily, a neighbor spotted him and called the police in time. "But he claimed Anna told you and him that I advised her not to scam bride prices anymore, and that I even threatened to report you all to the police if you continued. You've loved me since I was little, Auntie. No matter how disobedient I might seem, I'd never do such a thing." Aunt May hesitated. "Didn't you say that, though?" I swore to heaven and earth, it had nothing to do with me. After repeating it several times, Aunt May finally believed me. When Thomas was released, he sheepishly invited me out to eat. I carefully brought along a colleague, a tall 62, Muay Thai instructor. Seeing Thomas's face change color, I smiled meaningfully. My boyfriend was worried about me eating with another guy, so he insisted on coming along. "If it's inconvenient for you, he can just sit and watch." Thomas immediately handed the menu to my colleague. Without a hint of politeness, my colleague ordered a meal costing over 1,000 yuan. I clearly saw Thomas's furtive glare at me, but I pretended not to notice, turning to my colleague and pouting. "Honey, Thomas misunderstood me that day. He even threatened me with a knife." As both men looked bewildered, I smiled and poured Thomas a glass of water. "It must have just been a misunderstanding, right?" I continued, my voice sincere. "Thomas, heaven knows, I would never say such wicked things. You didn't have enough money to buy a house. I was even planning to give you my own bride price to help you." Thomas, who was drinking water, immediately choked. He glanced at my colleague, awkwardly waving his hands. No, that's not necessary." The meal ended, and Thomas looked at me with eyes as if standing before an untouchable monument. I held my colleague's hand, smiling as I bid Thomas farewell. "He and I are living together now. If you ever want to visit, just give me a heads up. I'll have him stay home to entertain you, and I'll cook for both of you." With that, I didn't bother to turn back and see Thomas's expression, just quietly pulled my colleague away. As soon as we got in the car, my colleague burst out laughing. Remember, next month you owe me a weekly report. To save face in front of Thomas, I gritted my teeth and nodded. After those intimate interactions with Aunt May and Thomas, the web of lies Anna had spun quickly unraveled. Soon after, Aunt May resumed her matchmaking efforts for Anna, hoping to find a new marriage prospect. I immediately thought of my colleague's female cousin, who had just escaped a terrible marriage with a man who seemed perfect on the surface but had a wicked heart. He had a bright appearance, a stable job, and a well-off family. But after the wedding, his true colors emerged. Abusive, tyrannical, to the point of hitting her in public during their divorce, making his name widely known and ensuring no one dared approach him. Annoyingly, his mother had just announced she had 660,000 yuan in bride price money ready. I thought this was the perfect match for Anna, so I told my mother to join the local matchmakers group, pretending to, accidentally, get to know the man's mother. Afterward, my mother casually shared some information about potential suitors in our family group chat. Everyone assumed my mother was looking for a husband for me. The group immediately buzzed with teasing. Emily's also of age now, what's the plan? Exactly, these men are quite eligible. Emily, just say who you like. Only Aunt May panicked, worried my mother was seriously looking for a partner for me, and quickly interjected, Emily already has a boyfriend, a tall one, no need for matchmaking. My asterisk family is the one that needs it. Anna still hasn't found a stable match. As soon as Aunt May finished speaking, the group fell silent. Everyone knew Aunt May was generally unreasonable and ill-mannered, so no one wanted to get involved. My mother played along, feigning humility. Oh, you choose first. I'll see later if anyone suitable comes along. Hearing this, Aunt May happily saved the contact information. Aunt May acted fast. Within a few days, she finalized Anna's engagement date for December 12th. The bride price from the groom's family was indeed the rumored 660,000 yuan. Aunt May excitedly boasted in the group chat. The groom's family is well off and the man is refined. He met my Anna and immediately wanted to marry her. The bride price is very generous. My daughter is truly blessed. Aunt Lynn couldn't help but quietly remark, it's not that she's blessed, it's that heaven is showing mercy. Less than 2 minutes later, Aunt Lynn timidly deleted her comment. But Aunt May wouldn't let it go, immediately retorting, what do you know? You're just jealous because you couldn't give birth to a daughter, aren't you? HMPH, if you had the guts, you'd give birth to a child willing to marry for her brother? The entire chat group instantly fell silent. My mother looked at her phone, her face flushed with anger, but found it difficult to say anything. As for me, I just sat there, waiting to see how long Aunt May would remain so smug. On December 12th, Anna and that man held a lavish engagement ceremony. My aunt stared intently at the box containing 660,000 yuan on stage, her mouth stretched into a wide, eye-crinkling smile. Perhaps it was because this prospective groom seemed decent, or perhaps because Aunt May had been subtly warned behind the scenes. Anna's smile this time looked genuinely natural, as if she truly looked forward to this marriage. Everything was arranged quickly. Aunt May just wanted the 6 months to pass quickly so she could swap houses, so the wedding was quite rushed. On New Year's Day, Anna only took a simple set of wedding photos, held a small ceremony, and then, wearing a red wedding dress, entered a life with an abusive man. The 660,000 yuan bride price, as usual, never reached Anna's hands. That evening, Aunt May gifted Thomas a Mercedes. Thomas immediately took photos of the car from every angle and showed it off in the family group. The pictures included him standing next to the car, the interior, every small detail. Aunt May even tagged Aunt Lynn, still daring to call this a gentle breeze now. Then she brought up Aunt Lynn's nephew. Are you jealous? It's your mother's fault for not having a valuable daughter, otherwise, you'd also be driving a luxury car. Finally, Aunt May tagged my mother and me. Emily, your muscular boyfriend isn't reliable. Find someone with money to marry, get a big bride price, and help your mother out. Aunt Lynn and her nephew didn't reply. I responded in the group. Auntie is so right. Thanks to Auntie's excellent upbringing, Anna was able to secure a 660,000 yuan bride price. I'm just a simple country girl. Who would ever be willing to spend that kind of money on me? My mother, having endured enough, finally couldn't take it anymore and typed a single sentence in the group. I can't do something like selling my daughter. And with that, it was like poking a hornet's nest. Aunt May immediately sent several voice messages, each lasting a full minute. Finally, she typed with a furious energy, "Look at the jealousy. Can't raise a capable daughter like my Anna, going mad, aren't you?" I held my mother's hand as she angrily typed, "Mom, don't pay attention to her. She'll get what's coming to her soon." Less than 10 minutes after I spoke, Anna sent a distress message. "Thomas, come pick me up quickly, he's not human." After that, there was no further news. We called Anna's name repeatedly in the group, but no one answered, and her phone went straight to voicemail. Aunt May, however, prevented Thomas from going. "You can't go. If you pick her up now, it's as good as admitting something happened. If she divorces now, she'll have to return the bride price. The car's already been driven. What will we use to pay it back? Newlyweds having a little spat, isn't that normal?" But this time, it was clearly not normal. The next morning, Anna knocked on my door. I opened it, and despite bracing myself, I couldn't help but frown. Her face was bruised, her neck bore ligature marks, her fingers were swollen, and she limped. My mother rushed out and, seeing Anna's state, burst into tears. "Oh my God, what did he do to you? Anna, come, I'll take you to the hospital." Anna spoke with great difficulty, only managing a few words. "Fine, Mom. Divorce. Brother. Money." My mother quickly helped her to the car and told me to drive. I shook my head. "The car's out of gas. Thomas just got a new car, call him to take Anna to the hospital." Hearing this, Anna suddenly collapsed to the ground, her eyes vacant. "Thomas has a car, the money's all gone? It's really all gone, what do I do now?" My mother had no choice but to call Thomas. When he arrived, Aunt May also came along. Seeing Anna sitting there like a tattered shadow, Aunt May wailed, "My daughter, your face isn't ruined, is it? Your legs aren't broken, right? If your face is damaged or you're disabled, how will you get another bride price like that in the future? It's okay, a little damage is fine. After all, we already have the 660,000 yuan. Just wait half a year and we'll process the divorce." Unexpectedly, before Anna could even speak, a cold voice rang out. "Half a year and you want a divorce? Zhang Anna, you're quite the schemer. Now I understand why she didn't bring any bride price back when she married. Turns out you never intended to return it, did you?" Lucas's mother's voice was sharp and bitter. Immediately after, a figure brushed past me and kicked Thomas hard. "I just saw you getting out of that brand new Mercedes. You used my money to buy a car?" Thomas was kicked, tumbling to the ground. Aunt May's face drained of all color. She forced a strained smile at Lucas's mother. "My dear in-law, you've misunderstood. I just wanted to advise Anna to live peacefully with Lucas. Even if I'm muddled, I wouldn't do anything so immoral." But Lucas's mother wouldn't back down, only staring intently and asking, "Where's the 660,000 yuan bride price? When will you return it?" Aunt May stammered, speechless. Lucas stepped closer to Thomas, his eyes cold and devoid of emotion. He delivered 2 fiery slaps to Thomas's face, demanding, "Where's my money?" Despite his size, Thomas was like a frightened chick before Lucas, not daring to resist. He stammered, I bought a car." Lucas grabbed his head and slammed it against the wall. "You dare to take my money? You're tired of living, aren't you?" Initially, Aunt May was scared, but seeing Thomas being beaten, her tone changed. She defiantly stood in front of her son. "Don't think we don't know the law. The bride price given to the bride's family is their private property. If the divorce isn't finalized within 6 months, you have no right to demand it back." Anna subtly tugged at my mother's sleeve. "Mom, return the money, let me divorce." Aunt May crossed her arms, coldly replying, "Return the money, never." Lucas's mother let out a cold snort, turned her back and walked away, throwing back, "Divorce, dream on." My mother looked around and softly said, "Anna is badly injured." "Shouldn't we take her to the hospital?" Aunt May snapped back. "Taking her to the hospital is her husband's family's responsibility. My daughter married into their family. Now that she's injured, they should take care of it. Why should we?" Lucas's mother's voice grew even louder. "My ex-daughter-in-law was 10 times worse, and no one took her to the hospital. Your family is just too weak." Anna lay there, covered in injuries, but Aunt May and Lucas's mother argued for a full hour until the neighbors complained about the noise, forcing them to stop. By this time, the blood on Anna's body had dried. Lucas stood before Anna, commanding, "Go home." Anna was terrified, not daring to move. Lucas casually wiped his hands with a handkerchief. "Either come home with me, or return the 660,000 yuan bride price and 200,000 yuan for emotional damages. Choose for yourself, I don't have patience." Anna knelt before Aunt May, her voice panicked. "Mom, I've married so many times, it adds up to 1.88 million now. Please, Mom, save me or I'll die." My aunt coldly pushed Anna away. "You always only think about money. Have I ever spent a single penny of yours? It was all for your brother to buy a house and a car. I don't believe he'd dare beat you to death. Suffer a little, it's for your brother's future. Isn't it worth it? I stood there, unable to believe such words could come from a mother's mouth. If Anna hadn't previously tried to use my brother to harm me, perhaps I would have felt sympathy for her. But her heart was never good, so I couldn't feel pity. I feared that saving her would only lead to a reenactment of the story of the farmer and the snake. Seeing Aunt May unyielding, Anna turned to my mother, begging, "Auntie, can I borrow money? I promise I'll pay it back." My mother's eyes welled with tears. "My dear, I sympathize with you deeply, but where would I find that much money for you right now?" Anna glanced at me and then said, "Emily isn't engaged yet, right? Won't there be a bride price then? Auntie, can I borrow it in advance?" She looked at me, then at Lucas, a cold, frosty smile playing on her lips. "Or how about Emily marries into that family in my place? She's young and pretty. Lucas surely wouldn't dare lay a hand on her. I'm just unlucky." I couldn't help but roll my eyes. Pitying her was truly a waste of effort. My mother's tears suddenly froze, and her voice became icy. "Are you saying I should trade my own daughter for you? Don't you think you're being utterly shameless?" With that, my mother pulled me into the house, slamming the door shut as if to end everything right there. I leaned close to her, whispering, "Mom, don't you pity Anna anymore?" She paused for a moment, then sighed softly. How could I have imagined she would turn out like this? Seeing my mother still hesitant, I led her to watch the video clip from the day of the incident at our house. When she saw Anna hiding in a corner, silently observing everything, my mother just shook her head, sighed, and told me, "Stay away from that family, as far away as possible." I didn't need my mother to tell me. I wouldn't be foolish enough to get involved again. I believed the gift I had left them would be enough to keep them busy for a while. At least for now, no one would be free to bother me. After reviewing the camera footage and peeking through the door crack, confirming they had retreated, my mother quietly cleared up the aftermath, packed our belongings, and led me away from the apartment. "We should go somewhere far, just in case they get into a bloody fight. We don't want to get caught in the crossfire." It made sense. I obediently packed my things, silently following my mother as we left our residence. Yet I never imagined that even after distancing ourselves, Anna would still refuse to let me go. That day, I was examining a patient when she suddenly burst in, looking frantic. "Emily, from now on, every day you're at work, I'll sit in the waiting room. If he comes to hit me, can you help me call security?" Under the sympathetic gaze of the waiting patients, I sighed softly. "Anna, I work here. It's really inconvenient for you to keep coming like this. Besides, the hospital is crowded and you're still weak." Before I could finish, she tightly clutched my hand, pleading earnestly. "I promise I won't cause trouble. I'll just sit quietly. Unless Lucas hits me, I absolutely won't disturb you." Because patients were waiting, I couldn't argue. I just briefly instructed security and returned to work. I knew Anna was troublesome, but I never expected her to be this much trouble. In the afternoon, with patients still lined up from the morning, a commotion suddenly erupted outside. The shouts of security guards, women screaming, and a man's furious roar. I rushed out and saw it was Lucas causing chaos right in the middle of the hospital. Fortunately, because I had warned security beforehand, they immediately called the police. When I saw the police leading both of them away, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. My mood was so good that I even stayed an extra half hour at work that evening before changing and heading home. The moment I picked up my phone, I saw 100 messages from Anna. "Are you crazy, Emily? I only asked you to call security, not the police. Now look what happened. Lucas got arrested. What am I going to tell his mother? Are you jealous of my bride price money and don't want me to live in peace? He only hit me a few times. The security guards just needed to scold him. Now I've offended him. What if he takes revenge when he gets out of prison? He works in a big factory. How can he show his face at work after being arrested like this? Do you think you're so smart? I really don't understand you anymore." I didn't bother reading the rest of the messages. I didn't need to listen to those long voice notes to guess what she was saying. I truly didn't understand my cousin anymore. Had she fallen in love with Lucas after being beaten so badly? Or had she been beaten to the point of being unable to resist? A person who resorted to violence in the middle of a hospital, was it wrong for security to call the police? Around 3:00 a.m., my phone rang loudly in the silent night. Thomas called, his voice urgent through the receiver. "Auntie, please tell Emily to come to my sister's house and take her to the hospital. She's been beaten again, and it looks really bad this time." My mother rubbed her eyes, still sleepy, yawning as she frowned and asked, "Your sister is injured, why can't she go herself? Why are you asking us to come? Thomas stammered apologetically. I used my brother-in-law's money to buy a car. Go, he'll kill me. Emily is a girl, he probably wouldn't dare to be too rough with her, so it's more suitable for her to go. Hearing this, my mother burst out laughing, but it was a laugh full of scorn. Aren't you ashamed of yourself? Emily isn't your biological sister, nor is she relying on your sister to earn money for her wedding. He fell silent. My mother didn't bother to prolong the conversation, decisively hanging up. I had been awake for a while, sitting up and looking at my mother. Her eyes were red from exhaustion. She murmured, "See, that family is like mistletoe, always clinging to us. Anna gets beaten and calls us. Thomas is afraid to pick up his sister and calls us." Perhaps my mother didn't know that I was the one who sowed the seeds of that cruel marriage, but the law of karma spares no one. Less than 2 hours later, urgent knocking echoed at the door. Outside stood Aunt May and Thomas, neatly dressed, their faces full of expectation. Aunt May pleaded, "Auntie, Emily works at the hospital. If anything happens, she'll know what to do. My niece is seriously injured, she needs a little care." I didn't want to go at all, but I was worried about Thomas holding a grudge. In the end, I got into the car with my mother. On the way, Anna lay silently in the back seat, the angry red bruises circling her neck making the air in the car thick with tension. She was rushed to the emergency room. My mother sighed and whispered to Aunt May, "Call the police. Divorce is the only way to save her." Aunt May showed no sympathy. In the quiet hospital corridor, she stood with her hands on her hips, shouting as if in a marketplace. "You always tell my daughter to get a divorce. Don't you know? If she divorces within 6 months, she has to return the bride price, 660,000 yuan. If you can pay it back, I'll let her divorce right now." My mother wasn't one to argue, but in Aunt May's eyes, her quietness was weakness. Aunt May lowered her voice, sweet as honey. "Actually, there's another way. I know the son of the supermarket chain owner in the next county needs a wife. Emily is pretty and gentle, just the type they're looking for. They're willing to pay 2 million in bride price. With that money, Anna won't have to worry, and my Thomas can even get a G-class." My mother trembled with anger. "If it's so good, why don't you marry off your own daughter?" Aunt May sighed, as if she were a worldly wise woman. "I want to, of course, but they don't want to marry a second-hand goods daughter. Isn't that why they came to your house?" My mother didn't bother to argue, taking my hand and walking away. On the way to catch a taxi, Mom gripped my hand tightly, her voice firmer than ever. "From now on, I swear I'll cut all ties. No one in that cousin's family deserves my pity anymore." This time, Anna was seriously injured. After waking up, she finally broke down in tears, begging for a divorce. But Aunt May stubbornly insisted she stay with her husband's family for the full 6 months because the bride price was paramount. With no other option, Anna turned to attack me again. She went live on social media, her face bruised and swollen, tears streaming down her face. The title: "My cousin stole my husband and helped him beat me." On the live broadcast, she portrayed herself as a pitiful, long-suffering woman, while I became the cruel, cunning villain who stole her husband and abetted her assault. In less than 2 days, the video went viral, climbing to the top of local search trends. While I was working at the hospital, several patients recognized me and quietly requested a different doctor or clinic. Some overly zealous middle-aged women, without bothering to consider right or wrong, rushed forward and threw their handbags at me. "You vixen, homewrecker, shameless woman. If we don't get rid of your kind, the world will be in chaos." I silently retreated to the doctor's lounge, changed out of my scrubs, and opened my phone. The screen immediately glowed in the cold white fluorescent light, eliciting a weary sigh from deep within my chest. Anna had been beaten to that extent, yet still had the composure to fabricate a slanderous story on social media. The most tragic thing wasn't her actions, but the gullibility of the crowd. They were ready to rage over an unsubstantiated story. Comments flooded in, full of blind fury. "Sister, don't be afraid, the law is always on the side of the victim. A homewrecker like her should disappear from this world. I recognize her. She's a doctor at the People's Hospital. How disgraceful." It turned out my recent popularity at the hospital wasn't due to my expertise, but because people were coming not for medical care, but to exterminate the evil spirit. I exhaled, feeling for the first time in my life a weariness that didn't come from work, but from the dirty tricks played by my own flesh and blood. Did she think that if she dragged me down into the mud, she would appear cleaner? No, I wouldn't tolerate it anymore. I scrolled through Aunt May's personal social media page, going back years. My aunt, an older woman who had never learned to use privacy settings, had inadvertently left behind a treasure trove of information. Every time Anna got engaged, Aunt May excitedly posted photos with the groom-to-be, showing off engagement gifts, gold jewelry, diamond rings, and stacks of cash. Every time Anna divorced, Aunt May was like someone selling an old item. "My daughter is single again. Anyone interested, come forth." There were even photos of official divorce certificates, clearly stating the dates. I saved everything. Every single frame, every line of text was evidence. I created a PowerPoint presentation, each slide a different act in their family drama, without saying a harsh word, just letting the images tell the story. And then I posted everything online, even buying a sponsored promotion slot, because sometimes the truth needs a spotlight. In less than half a day, my story topped the local search charts. It was no longer me being condemned, but them, the ones who turned marriage into a means of livelihood. Comments began to change. My family was also a victim. She took over 380,000 yuan plus 80,000 yuan in jewelry. 6 months later, she divorced. We reported it to the police, but nothing was resolved. I was also a relative by marriage to her. The time was always exactly half a year. She didn't marry to live, but to get money. A woman who behaves like that, how could she know how to love her husband and children? Or does she only know how to count every penny in a red envelope? The truth gradually became clear. Anna was no mere victim. She was a tightrope walker, using tears to hide her claws. Lucas was indeed a violent and immoral man, but now he was no longer just a wife-beater, but a man deceived by the very woman he married. He thought his mother-in-law was greedy, holding on to the money, but when he saw the complete dossier, he realized his wife was a masterful actress, and his mother-in-law was the silent director. She endured living with him not out of resignation, but because the 6-month period was legally sufficient to avoid refunding the bride price. But life rarely stays within a script. Before the internet storm subsided, another wave of violence crashed over them. As Anna lay unconscious in her hospital bed, Lucas suddenly burst in. He grabbed her hair, pulling her up violently, ignoring the still bleeding wounds. "Where's my 660,000 yuan?" He snarled like a wild beast, kicking the woman who was once his wife in the face. "You tricked your father, you tricked my entire family. If I let you go, I'm not Lucas anymore." Just then, Thomas arrived at the hospital with food. Seeing his sister being assaulted, he dropped the meal box in a panic, hastily grabbed a bucket of water, and ran to call security. In the end, it was the hospital security guards who had to intervene to stop the vengeful beating. But the incident was recorded on video and uploaded. This time, no one needed to buy a promotion. The video soared to the top of search trends due to its sheer brutality. Anna once again became the center of attention on social media, but this time in an inescapable predicament. The online community seemed to beat with a shared rhythm of outrage. "I couldn't bear to watch the whole thing. That abuser deserves a severe punishment. This is clearly an act of intentional assault. It cannot be excused as domestic violence. If this happened in society, he would have been handcuffed long ago. Can a marriage certificate turn a criminal into an innocent person?" Exactly, we need to remove the label of domestic violence. Hitting someone and causing injury is a crime, regardless of the victim. However, amidst that wave of criticism, quite a few people spoke up in Lucas's defense. "Have you heard his side of the story? She extorted 660,000 yuan in bride price from him. Wait, isn't this the girl rumored to have married 8 times? Everything became clear. She had indeed walked down the aisle 8 times, each marriage lasting barely half a year before she divorced and moved on to another family for profit. As the online debate raged, Anna remained unconscious in the intensive care unit. After breaking free from security's restraint, Lucas had charged out, chasing after Thomas. The hospital management reprimanded the security team, but one of them casually replied, "I only get paid 3,000 a month. Should I risk my life for that?" Thomas, inherently lazy and heavy-bodied, ran to the parking lot. Just as he opened the car door, Lucas caught up. Lucas's eyes darkened when he saw the gleaming new Mercedes, the branded clothes, and the bright gold watch on Thomas's wrist. Without a word, he grabbed Thomas's head and slammed it against the sharp edge of the car door once, then again. That insane scene was later only known through the hospital's security camera footage. Thomas was so terrified he crumpled to his knees, trembling and begging, "Spare me, please don't kill me." Lucas still gripped his collar tightly, hissing through gritted teeth. "When will you pay me back?" the chubby man promised. "I'll sell the car and gather 660,000 yuan to pay you back." Lucas sneered, continuing to slam his head against the door's edge, letting the blood flow and stain the ground red. 60,000? Do you think that's enough? I lost my job, lost my dignity, my life is ruined because of scumbags like you. Do you think that pile of money can buy it all back? Tears and snot streamed down Thomas's face. He wailed in despair. 880,000. I'll pay 880,000. Please don't kill me. Lucas didn't respond. He just silently pulled the man's head closer to the car door. Thomas, in a panic, clutched at his hand, screaming like a dying man. I'll give you my whole family. That house, everything, just spare my life. The camera captured every detail, from Lucas's murderous eyes to the dying man's ashen face. Thomas seemed to understand his end was near. He was so terrified he soiled his pants, a yellowish-white stain spreading on the ground. Finally, he crawled to Lucas's feet, weeping loudly. I'll give you everything. My sister is very beautiful, she can sell herself. Seeing Lucas still as cold as stone, he gritted his teeth, clasping his hands in desperate plea. I'll make both my mother and sister sell themselves. They'll definitely be worth a lot. Lucas's eyes flickered slightly. He kicked the trembling body at his feet. Remember what you said. I want to see the money by tomorrow morning. Knew, after all the previous blows, Thomas had survived. But this light kick sent Thomas falling, hitting his head on the car's edge, and he died instantly. His last words before death were a chilling promise. Sell my mother and sister like two beauty queen mother and daughter. Just then, his aunt, who had just finished dinner and was on her way home, happened to witness everything. Seeing her nephew sprawled on the ground, blood covering his face, she forgot all the vile words he had just spoken. In shock and rage, she charged forward, swinging her handbag wildly at Lucas. Lucas, still reeling from the unexpected death, saw her charging and frantically tried to get into the car to flee. However, unfamiliar with controlling the newly purchased car, Lucas nervously pressed the accelerator instead of the brake. The car shot forward like a wild beast, slamming directly into the woman who stood with arms outstretched, hoping to block the car. Without hesitation, the wheels rolled over her body, and the car then crashed straight into a concrete pillar in the parking lot, leaving the front of the Mercedes tragically mangled. As for Lucas, in that moment, his head hit the steering wheel violently, and he collapsed unconscious in a pool of fateful darkness. After the police reviewed all the surveillance camera footage, the case was officially entered into the criminal investigation file. As soon as Lucas regained consciousness in the hospital, the arrest warrant was immediately executed without delay. 3 days later, while Lucas was still hospitalized, my cousin Anna was finally transferred from the recovery room to a regular patient room. Just when we thought disaster had temporarily receded, tragedy struck once more. Less than a day after being in a regular room, my cousin took her last breath on that cold hospital bed. The incident caused a shockwave. The hospital urgently launched an internal investigation due to the rapid succession of unusual accidents. And then the truth was laid bare, like a knife tearing open a wound that had barely begun to heal. Lucas's mother, an elderly woman whom everyone thought was helpless, had quietly disguised herself as a nurse, secretly injecting mosquito repellent into Anna's veins. That seemingly harmless substance, in high doses, became a lethal poison that led my cousin to a sudden, tragic death. When interrogated by the police, she offered no defense, her eyes cold as embers. She calmly confessed. She said, "That girl ruined my son's life. She took everything, his honor, his future, even my last belief in life." There's not much to judge. Lucas and his mother, a deranged murderer, and a blindly devoted mother, were both sentenced to death for intentional murder. My entire family was shaken. A mix of loss, horror, and helplessness weighed heavily on each person's chest. My mother, who was usually stronger than anyone, became quiet from that day on. Every night, she sat by the window for a long time, her eyes gazing into the distance as if calling back a bygone era. I understood she needed to breathe, to temporarily forget the nightmares brought on by people. So I quickly arranged a 15-day trip to Yunnan, a land where mountains and rivers resemble paintings and white clouds drift around hidden stilt houses. We went to Lugu Lake, where the water was as blue as a mirror, and the gentle wind on our skin felt like a caress, soothing lingering wounds. On a rustic wooden boat, amidst the peaceful waves, I suddenly saw my mother smile. For the first time after so many days of anguish, that smile was like sunlight pouring into my heart. We had left the land of hurt, left the toxic people behind. From now on, there would be no more heartbreaking events, no more those who twisted right into wrong. We would live with all that remained of our peace.